morning, Johnny.
Good morning, friend.
Welcome all to the channel. This is the conclusion to our limited series.
I know.
OK Rock.
Really sad. Bittersweet.
Podcast. However, this is not the end of us reacting to One OK Rock. Let's make that very clear up front.
True. Well, they're coming out with a new album soon, so we definitely got some more material.
And Taco was talking about it, that it's going to be heavy. I'm just like, yay! We're just going to set up real quick what you're about to watch. This is kind of an origin story for Johnny and I. We're going to visit the houses we grew up in, interview our parents a little bit, and then we go into the actual review of the concert itself.
Yes, and for those of you who don't want an origin story, first of all, how dare you, sir or madam? But we understand, and you can skip ahead to the stuff you want to watch. But
I love your word choices. I didn't see madam coming. It was just so well placed. But yes,
the classy guy.
There's a timestamp in the description below, so you can feel free to skip us and get right to the reaction of the concert itself. Totally cool. Yeah. And I just wanted to add a quick, I'm sorry my mom was not a part of this. She was a huge influence on me, especially in regards to musicals and my early introduction to rock, which would be Elvis. That was her jam. So much, in fact, that when she went into labor with me, that was while he was performing his famous Hawaiian concert, and she went into labor, but she refused to go to the hospital until the concert was done. So priorities. All right, we will see you on the other side of this travel vlog.
Yes,
Enjoy.
Indeed.
I forgot to press this button.
And always, if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe and ring that bell so you always know what we are up to at all times, please.
Yes, and also we greatly appreciate if you click on the link below and buy us a coffee and even become a Thronly member. Okay, now the travel vlog begins.
At the rhythm of the sun, well, I was wide awake until the dawn upon her face, and the echoes of our song as it hummed along. So stay with me, you are my missing pieces. Oh, you are my missing pieces. You are my missing pieces. So won't you stay with me?
We're in Toronto.
We are at the Westin Harbour Castle, beautiful hotel right on the water overlooking Lake Ontario. We are about to go see One OK Rock tonight. We're hours away, so we're super excited. And just like our last travel adventure, we took a bunch of videos and photos, and so we're just going to try to do a little bit of a recap of what we've done so far. It's quite different. Last time when we went to go see Dimash, we spent a week and a half in different countries, different cultures, meeting up with different people. This is different. We're here for just
a little more of a hit and run thing, and it's, it's similar. It's not such a cultural shift,
And I've been in Toronto many times as a kid. I don't know about you.
No, I think just one time for a science thing.
So we wanted to do something a little bit different while we're here. But we also wanted to take advantage of the fact that Toronto is just 2.5 hours away from where we grew up. So this travel adventure is going to be a little more personal. We wanted to answer a lot of the questions you guys have had about how we got to know each other and our family. My dad's been on the channel several times, so we went and interviewed him.
More embarrassing old photos.
Lots of embarrassing photos. So I took off really early from Orlando, headed to Rochester, where my dad picked me up. It is freezing. I did not bring proper attire. I should not have shaved my head. I need as much hair as possible to stay warm. Then Johnny came over and did a little interview with Dad. What's it like talking to my dad? That's kind of an experience in and of itself.
It is an experience. It's a lovely experience. A lot of you have seen pictures of the house that Richard grew up in. His dad built that house, so I got some background information of that whole process. Just how our families sort of got together, and I got some early Richard stories, which are always great. So we are at Castle de Finkelstein. Obviously, some of you viewers out here are familiar with Mr. Fink here. Nice shirt.
Oh, yeah, I'm a pie guy.
It's all the numbers in pi.
3415926535897.
We have limited time on the show.
Sitting in this castle, so I guess can you tell us a little story about when it was built? What gave you the idea? When did you start designing it?
Oh, what gave me the idea is my mother, when I was a small child, used to read Grimm's fairy tales, which had castles in it.
Okay.
I became fascinated with them. Back in grammar school, I read my grandfather's 10-volume Encyclopedia of Carpentry and Building. So I designed this when I was 12 years old. Farmers would let me pick rocks off their hedgerows, and I dumped rocks in this field where I actually built the castle.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing that when I was 15 years old. Anyways, in high school, when I started dating, I would go out to pick up my date, and I started talking to the parents about what they liked about their house, what they disliked, cleaning patterns, walking patterns.
As one does, yes.
The only thing is I could never get a second date with the same girl. But the parents invite me over for dinner, you know. And I had all the lumber cut and dried by the time I graduated from high school. I actually started building it in 1968 when I put in the foundations.
Okay. So how much of a role did Richard help in the building of this?
Oh, you
property?
helped? I remember the one time that I asked him to help me move scaffolding and clean some rocks to put on the house. And he said to me, Dad, you know, I really don't like this kind of work.
Yeah.
And I said, Richard, I understand, but you got to understand, this is my dream.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who you are.
Right.
Find your own dream.
Yep.
Think about that while you're washing the rocks and carrying the cement up the ladder.
Yeah. In reference to that was a huge influence on me, knowing your view on allowing somebody to follow their passion. You following your passion, and then the people around them or around you to do the same thing. So when did you complete the castle and the gardens?
The castle, I put the last stone in place in 1997.
Okay, so since this is a music channel, I thought it'd be cool to
music.
Kind of get your take on what music you like. What music did you listen
Put
to?
another nickel in and the Nickelodeon. All I want is loving you with music. Do you remember that one?
Let's move on to the next question.
Maybe 2 or 3 times a month, we would have dinner at my mother's parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday afternoon, we listened to the opera.
Nice. Yeah.
Everybody sit in front of the radio and just listen to the opera. Where I really got into classical music.
I was gonna say classical is something that I equate with you a lot. I would, you'd be working in the wood shop and there would always be classical music playing. Yeah.
Oh yes, definitely. In August 1952, we had this little round TV, brown screen, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And
did it have Netflix on it or?
Netflix? Toscanini from Italy. He was in his early 90s and he was going to conduct Beethoven's 5th Symphony.
Oh.
It was a 110-piece orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started out, it was just boom. In fact, the hair started to stand up. I fell in love with Beethoven. By 1960, I had all of Beethoven's works on platters.
I know music is big in your meditation as well, which, by the way, he also influenced me in the world of meditation and spirituality too. Like you played a big part in my life for sure.
Oh.
So I think Imagine was one of the ones you would listen to. And then Anagata Davida was another one of your favorites, right?
Oh, I was in deep meditation and I would play classical music. My daughter, Nikki, apparently switched one of the CDs I had in there and put in Anagata Davida. And I was in deep meditation and that came on and it just blew my mind. I was, wow. Every once in a while, something will come out like Freebird, the long version of Freebird.
Yeah.
And they got to be that all of a sudden it just hits a chord with you that just.
Well, they call music God's language.
You can't explain it.
Yeah, it transcends.
Yeah, it transcends everything.
Everything. It just hits something deeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk about Richard's musical history. What were some of your favorite moments of his career, and some of your not so favorite moments of his journey through music?
His journey with music. Well, we believe, because we always played opera and classical music, in protest to that, he went into heavy metal drums.
Sure. Yep.
But tried different instruments. The one that we really didn't care for was the slide trombone. He would practice
I didn't know he
in his
played that.
room. Short time. Thank God.
He never mentioned that.
We're so glad when he gave that up.
Please tell me there's videos or some recording of him playing it. Or you just wanted to bury that part of it. Okay.
You might be able to dig it up in the backyard somewhere under a tree. Anyways, then when he was in his middle teens, early teens, when he would be cutting lawn, I would ask him to cut the lawn, and he'd be having his headphones on, singing away, and I'd have to go out there and say, Richard, it works a lot better when you turn the blades on. He was so into his music.
Yes.
My father's side of the family, they were all stonemasons, and his father made all his own musical instruments. So he got music from that side. And from my mother's side of the family was all music, Blackfriars and piano, all of that. So, that kind of integrated into his genetics or somewhere.
Yep.
And he just took off.
Cursed with the love of music.
That was his forte.
So I guess the last thing I want to touch upon is, how did I end up in this crazy circle of creativity and
your mother got pregnant.
I see. I had this talk a few years ago, so I know what happened.
You're old enough to understand now, John.
Finally.
Your mother was the salesperson at the feed store, and I walked in the store and bought the seed, and we got to talking. That's where I met your mother.
Okay.
Several years later, Sue and I and your parents got together for different events and whatnot else. And they were going to come and do construction work in their house. Your parents were going to try to live with 2 kids in one part of the house. And we said, no. Well, they're tearing stuff out with the insulation and everything. Why don't you move in with us?
Yeah.
This was over Thanksgiving. So you're going to stay about a week while they took care of that. You didn't leave till the second week of January of the next year.
Well,
but we loved it.
Yeah.
Because Sue and I would come home from work, and the house would be clean, there'd be food on the table. And
right.
Your mother took care of everything. She's unbelievable. That's where we really got to know your family.
Yeah.
Then you guys got together.
So I was here pretty early then.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a choice.
Was that your first Christmas?
Well, looky here. Who are these 2 rapscallions?
Oh my goodness.
This was, let's see, 2008 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was in
awesome
Montenegro.
Award.
We actually won the award, first place for Best Song.
And then here's my family, my girls, my parents. I was going to do a quick tour of my old bedroom growing up.
Those of you who are familiar with the channel will recognize this room. This was that infamous shot of Richard and I.
Yes.
When I was 16.
In
I was
this corner.
here, he was there. He had his long hair. I looked like a child. This is where we started working together. The band rehearsals, working on the musical.
And before that, I had all of the bed and everything taken out. I'd have the drums and everything set up. And then I would sleep in the closet. And that way there was enough space for activities. We are in the middle of fall, Beautiful leaves. So around the property, Dad, that you built, the gardens, you've got all these different themes.
Oh yeah, the Roman ruins, the Ewok, the Buddhist gardens.
The Ewok, which I feel like was kind of my idea. Actually, you know, one of my earliest memories of this place, I used to think this was the setting for Return of the Jedi. For some reason, I just always equated this place with Star Wars. The thread with all of it, there's an element of contemplation with everything. You know, everything he does is for the purpose of sitting and thinking and reflecting.
To invoke the imagination.
Exactly.
So what inspired this section?
This wall, after I finished the house, to make it look like I built next to an old ruined mission. And this bell, I used to ring at recess bells when I was in grammar school. Well, my grandfather did and my father did. Enter my world.
So while Johnny and Dad are talking on the other side of the garden, I want to show you my favorite part. So you got this cool entrance, kind of walks in, and then there's this bench, and you can just sit here for hours and just disappear. It's incredible. I'm insanely fortunate to have been raised in an environment that not only is beautiful, but nurtures creativity and to follow my own bliss, which is what he taught me by him doing that with his own life. And hopefully I get to pass that along to my kids. Now we're on the other side of the garden, heading back to the Roman ruins.
We got the entropy bench, I guess. Then we have a 24-hour clock that we're standing on.
This is all custom molded and made. In the minute hand, it's about to strike the 24th hour, which is related to Carpe Diem.
Seize the day.
Seize the day. Incredible. And then, of course, you got the Ewok walkway.
I wish I could make a Ewok sound.
Like going all the way into the woods, across to the other side. And right here is where I got married, right on the grounds.
Oh, this is where I dropped your ring too, right?
Did you really?
I was like, just don't drop the ring. Don't drop the ring. I dropped the ring, yes.
And he gave the most amazing best man speech ever.
Made up for it, yeah.
After Johnny interviewed my dad, we went over to the house you were raised in, and I got to hang out with his mom. And
Which has been some time, actually,
haven't
since you've
seen
gotten
her in a while.
to chat with her. So that was just
that
a
was
nice,
actually
nice revisit.
really nice. And also just as an adult, there's still... There's, you know what I mean? Like because it was.
Are we calling ourselves adults now?
I don't know.
I don't know. And then my dad ended up showing up right at the end.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
And he had some good
And
moments.
we flipped through some photo albums, got to see some early photos of Johnny.
Look
at those cheeks.
Look at those arms.
Here's the drum set that I first learned on, except that isn't me.
No, that's me. That's Superman.
Superman at the drums.
That is Richard.
This
It's
is
your most
just
70s
fantastic.
outfit possible.
And that's the girl that rejected me in 5th grade. Right there. So I would have been 3 years old. And so this is Johnny's parents, John, obviously, John Sr., Chris, and Maria.
We bought it like this at an auction. The chimney wasn't usable.
Right.
The bathrooms weren't usable. And I have a picture of your dad helping us put in a nice window so that we could kind of look out the kitchen.
So what you're saying is he did more for your house than I helped him with my house? Is
Yes,
that
probably.
is what we're establishing? Parallel to what my dad did, you spent your just decades building on it. One weekend at a time, one day at a time, and just expanding and enhancing.
Still not done.
Yeah.
It never is.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing.
Never really had to look for something to do. There was always something you could do.
Right.
And if you go out in the kitchen, you'll see that still the tradition is it's harvest time. So I'm doing...
So I walked in the house. This is my memory. So this is my memory of Chris. Other than her being a wonderful, kind woman, the food. Mwah.
The tone.
And today is no different. Come
Do you
in.
want some chocolate chip cookies?
Oh, yes.
Cauliflower. It's the worst of all the garden items.
But it tastes good.
And somehow I'm sure she would still make it taste good.
So this is steaming it to get it ready to freeze.
This is why I was so chubby as a kid, by the way.
No, This is why you were coming.
It's the cookies.
The cookies.
Do I need to taste test these?
Yes, you do.
Happy to.
Yeah.
So I want to take you on a quick tour.
So the layout is different because we had a house
Yes.
fire. Yeah.
The original would go down and it would keep going down. But I asked them to leave this here as a reminder of where we started
Oh,
from.
that's awesome.
Cool.
So I remember coming in this way.
Yep.
And this is where the drums were.
And
When
this
I would
was
have been
one
8 years
whole-
old, Johnny would have been 2, 3.
Yeah, there's
And there was
5
a
years.
piano on the other side of the room, and he'd be plunking keys over there.
And this is the piano that he did end up playing on all
Yep.
the time.
This is awesome, actually.
Yeah.
That was the one that you were nursed in.
Oh, okay.
got risque. Already had a conversation with my dad,
Okay.
and we were trying to piece together kind of like how the families got to know each other. Do you recall the first time you met my dad?
No.
There you have it.
Probably at church or something.
Well, that was my assumption.
Yeah.
He said that you worked at a store and you sold like you
Feed?
bought like bird feed or dog food or something at a store
never
in
knew that.
Rockport. And
Oh my gosh. It was Aaron's. So my husband and I met at St. Vincent's, the church.
oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes, didn't live in the area very long, and so I started hunting for a church, which was what I knew about, growing up. And I stumbled into St. Vincent's in Churchville at the end of Mass, and I asked a person, "Do you think that Father would mind if I would bring my guitar and sing one song?"
Mm.
She says, "Oh no," she says, "Father's deaf. He was injured in the war. He was a chaplain."
You can sing whatever you want.
Sing whatever you want. And she says, "We would love it." And then eventually asked me to work with the teenagers. And I said, "I don't even read music." And he said, "That doesn't matter. That's not what they need. They need leadership." And he says, "You sound beautiful." So there was a young man in the back of church that was visiting, and he came up and complimented the group. And I thought that was really nice. I didn't pay much attention because I was more involved with the group.
Sure.
And turned out to be my future husband.
Mm.
So you wooed him
No,
unintentionally with
well,
your music and
with
your
the music,
voice.
yes. But you pack up when you're done, and you
Right.
make sure the kids are all where they're supposed to be. And it was Father Holman, and he said, "Chrissy, what is taking you so long?" And I said, "I always pack up." He goes, "Yeah, but wasn't there a young man that said he liked your music?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I gave him your phone number. He's going to call you at 1 and take you out to a movie." So we were set up by the priest.
That's
Matchmaker,
amazing.
matchmaker, make me a match.
So it's John, who is good with music and leadership.
Mhm.
We took it over together.
So years pass, and Maria was born first. She played what instruments?
She actually played guitar and flute.
And then Johnny, did he start with piano? Was that like, did he have an affinity towards that instrument?
No, the real truth about that is that his younger brother was born prematurely,
Mm-hmm.
and the doctor says if there's any way you can kind of like isolate for a year, kind of stay out of all the germs. John went to work, and Johnny and I were home with the baby. Wasn't thrilled.
Hold on.
So that sound, that thunderous sound, is the railroad tracks or the railroad
Going by, you can turn around and take a picture.
train.
Going past our house.
Yeah.
Both of us agreed that as kids, we think we would have loved to have piano lessons or music lessons, but I'm one of 9, he was one of 7. Those things weren't possible. We got really lucky. Mr. Ken Bruce, the Suzuki piano teacher,
How old is Johnny at this point?
4,
Okay. So
Yeah.
first lesson at 4.
and he said, "Mrs. Cummings, why did you bring Johnny to piano?" And I said, "Hates preschool." He says, "Really, that's it?" And I said, "Well, I mean, we like music, but yeah, it's for,
Honest.
socialization." And then we went the next week, and he played, and he said, "Seriously, Mrs. Cummings, why did you bring Johnny to piano?" And I said, "Why do you ask?" And he says, "Because he has perfect pitch." I said, "He's 4. How do you know that?" And he said, "Watch." And he said, "I can play any pattern, and Johnny can repeat it. And then on top of that, I can play any pattern. He can repeat it while I'm banging tin pie plates to cover up that
Wow.
sound." So, so then he just started that way. So then we said, "Oh, okay, this is a good idea. Glad we thought of it." So it was really accidental. With Suzuki, the focus isn't necessarily to learn to read, but again, Mr. Bruce said, I'm going to break away from the Suzuki tradition a little bit. He says, because if I don't teach him to read now, he's never going to want to.
That's why I didn't learn to read, because I had such a gift for being able to repeat music.
And that's one thing I'm very thankful for, because I did, when I was taking lessons from basically 4 to 12, I didn't really want to take lessons. I want to do anything else but play piano, and then she's like, no, you're going to appreciate it later on in life if you keep with it. And she was right.
My skills were minimal, but it would get me into a campfire, or it would make friends.
But also nurtured the family band, and it goes beyond that. Like, even to this day, you have massive parties in the backyard with like musicians from like county-wide.
But that's because my husband and then Johnny's brother Ryan,
that's right, he plays guitar and sings too.
They're very musical. Ryan is percussion and
plays guitar, sings.
Yeah. Musicians come together.
Yeah.
Because it's the thing you do.
It's incredible.
Yeah. You don't need an iPad. You just sit around and sing and
Be careful. This is how our subscribers watch us, is through their iPad. So you still need the iPad. But once you turn the iPad off, please go play an instrument.
Okay, now to all of your subscribers, I have to tell you that I didn't have time to watch any of these until I had shoulder surgery, and then I was thoroughly entertained for 4 weeks watching all of this. So hello to Budapest and
yes,
to the Philippines and all of the places.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, you were just describing what we see in our Filipino Fridays is these family bands, and every time we watch that, I'm reminded of your family, because we didn't have that in our household. I know you well enough to confidently say you value someone working hard at something they love, whatever it is,
right?
Yeah.
Gifted or not.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to be raised with that philosophy as well.
Yeah.
And then that
life is too short to spend 10 hours a day doing something you hate so that you can work 2 hours on the weekend doing something you like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did we phrase the question to my dad? It was, can you think of
the high moments and the low moments?
What's the highest and the lowest moment you could think of musically with John?
I don't think there were any low moments musically, really.
See, my dad came up with quite a few.
That's because you guys practice your kind of music at his house.
No, it started with the trombone, apparently.
Which I didn't even know about. That's how much it was
you had the
frowned
trombone?
upon.
Yes. See, no one knows.
One of the high points was before he even started music with Mr. Bruce. He and his dad used to come in and play, what's that? Yeah.
Which one is it?
The one that people play with their knuckles. I can play it for you afterwards, yeah.
But he and his dad would do that together, And so then when we went to Mr. Bruce and said he can play piano, Ken goes, no, he can't. And the first singing that you ever did that was like really, really, really enjoyed by my family was when he imitated the chocolate chip cookie. Don't eat all the morsels. Please don't eat them all. Because if you eat all the morsels, the cookies will be bald.
Please tell me you have video of this.
No, I don't.
A recording of it someplace.
We're around that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We had the sound system set up in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And any little kid that came got to be on the microphone and, just try it out. It was what you did at the Cummings house. But we didn't think of it as a family band. It was just...
No, it was just,
those are our toys.
One of the things you probably don't know about this strapping young man is he's also a fantastic artist. You may or may not recognize this.
It's Paul from the Beatles.
This is Paul from the Beatles. That's what I was going to say. Yes, this is from, you said high school?
High school, yeah.
Wow.
So you guys are in luck. My dad just came home.
This blade of grass here is growing next to this blade.
Excellent.
And this blade.
What about this blade? Is it named? So we were talking about a little bit about that. You guys put on this incredible music festival, and this is where that happens. This is obviously we're in the fall of things right now.
So here's the stage. We all sit up on this porch area.
400 people.
400?
So when we bought this place in '79, If you look from that walnut tree out this direction, it was all an open lawn. There was nothing. None of these trees, nothing was here. Myself and this dear gentleman were on the drum set. And,
That's right.
You were at what age would you say?
I was 8. I talk about you on our channel like every month.
Do you?
Yes, because I'm so proud that I started learning drums from Johnny's dad. It's like the coolest thing.
Do you remember the song that you guys worked on, Dad?
Remember?
I got a touch of CRS.
Oh no. What is that?
What that is?
No.
Can't remember shit. Sorry. I'm so sorry that
So
went on there. And then
That's where you get it from.
and then that CRS goes into craft. Did you know that? You know what that is?
Stop. So next we drove around town through the...
What a long drive it was.
So you can't really drive around town, you drive through it.
It's a very small town, and
Yes.
it didn't take too long.
We are approaching the legendary street light of our town. The one street light.
I'm going to zoom in. Okay, we are now entering the heart of the town we grew up in.
Yes, indeed.
Do not blink. There's approximately 5 stores? One,
maybe.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
We're killing it.
We got the bakery, we got Ralph's Pizza,
Oh,
great
yeah.
pizza,
Amazing pizza.
and the bakery's delicious too. And then Morgan's Place, of course, the bar.
And back to the tracks. Johnny lives somewhere down that way.
Yep.
And that's it. And then we went to the school that we both attended. That's the elementary. There's the pool. And then coming up over here across the field is the high school. And this high school is twice as big as it was when I was there, just to give you an idea of... What year did you graduate?
2000.
Okay, so 6 years apart, so I graduated in 94. A lot of you have asked how we started working together initially. And we shared the story once before, I think, on the channel. Basically, I've known him my whole life, but it was a talent show in 1990...
98, I think, yeah.
Yeah, like January 1998. So I came back and I was just hanging out backstage, as one does. And I see Johnny there. Hey, how you doing? And he's about to go on stage. He's got this little notepad. And he's saying, what should I play? And people are just throwing out songs. Like, I'm trying to remember the ones. I think you did Piano Man. You did
Very eclectic mix,
the Charlie Brown theme song.
Nintendo
you did some
theme.
Elton John.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
whatever.
Original stuff.
And he's just writing everything down. I'm like, what is he doing? And he goes out on stage. He sets the notepad down. And then he plays those songs in order, like seamlessly transition from one to the other. Didn't even explain it to the audience. So like, oh, he must have been rehearsing this for
Yes, a long
years.
time. Avid practice, avid rehearser, yeah.
Completely on the spot. So he was done, and he just came back and was like, you work for me now. So
You're not going to make any money.
ever. And then after that, you drove me back home, and we took a quick stop into our old studio.
A place that we worked a lot in and also wasted so much time in.
So many movies.
So many movies, Rolling Rocks.
So many Rolling Rocks. Just basically storage space for my sister right now, but we did unearth some really cool photos. I didn't even know were there.
Okay, so now we're entering Richard's old studio / apartment. Our old band started here. We recorded my first EP. We did our full-length album here.
It's
Changed a little bit.
it's been taken over by my sister, who's into dead things. This was the sound room.
Yep.
And then the control room. Oh my God, look at this wall of skulls.
Control.
This is all old videotapes and CDs and VHSs. What do we got on top? Oh no! It's an old photo of me doing promo stuff. So that's me, vampire, with my girlfriend, a friend, my sister, and who's this tall, beautiful Dutch woman? Yes.
This was in a part of our phase where we would take pictures and purposely not smile in them.
Yes. Look at that handsome man.
He's so happy. Yep.
So I'm over here with the hair. It's Matt, who we work with in several bands. Dave, Pete, and of
like the
course
old man.
Johnny. up on the wall.
Yep.
Just me, my mom, and Baz.
Sebastian Bach. Okay, this is one of our first gigs together,
It
actually.
is at a county fair.
Yeah.
My baby face and long hair.
In glasses.
Here you are at the Downstairs Cabaret Theater. That's us pretending that I'm showing you how to work the control system.
Which I still don't know how to work, yeah. This is the first gig that we ever did together.
March 7th, 1998.
Yep.
So we started working together just a few months before that. In the castle, of course.
Every day something hits me all so cold. Find me sitting by myself, no excuses that I know.
And then the next day, right after our live stream with Dimash, it's just so funny that's
circle
who
moment.
we
That was our last trip.
Yes.
Yep.
We just did the live stream leading into our next travel adventure and headed to Toronto. All right, we are crossing the bridge to Canada now. We're so close. This is the soundtrack of a road trip. We're in Canada, like an hour outside of Toronto right now. We made it and we finally got to meet John Reaves in person.
Love him. I love him.
Coolest
He
guy.
is so awesome. He's like our new best friend.
Yes, I mean it's
Yeah.
weird because it's because of you guys, are the Deers Army and 1OK Rock fans, that really introduced us to him and his channel. So then to actually become friends.
We could talk forever. And
Yeah.
We stayed up last night.
So then this morning we got breakfast and then we hung out with John again. We ended up going to Ward Island. So we took a water boat taxi. So we're just leaving the harbor and headed out to the lake. This is not Orlando weather. I am freezing. And you're overheating. I know. And you're right in the middle, right? Absolutely. All right, perfect. All right, we're gonna crank this thing up and see how fast it goes. All right, we're in the middle of an island. And there's this little cafe with ice cream on it, and we're about to lose Johnny for the rest of the day. Johnny's a bad influence. We all ended up in this freezing weather with ice cream.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, we chose, what is it, maple? Maple walnut.
I really
or
got a
something?
lot of pushback from those two for
Yeah. It's amazing.
Worth it.
We believe this is regulation height. He's gonna, with an imaginary ball, he's gonna attempt to dunk.
All right, I didn't warm up.
Putting his 6'4" to work.
Thing is, from back here, I was like, I got this. I can do this.
It looks so small until you get under.
Until you get under it.
Let's do it.
Oh my god.
He's gonna land it, dude. You got this. Oh my god!
Woo! All right, 6'1" John Reaves going for the dunk.
Here we go.
He's warm. Okay, here we go. These are in boots too. I don't know.
Go! Oh! And then we walked on the boardwalk and we hunted
Under the
for
boardwalk.
snakes on Snake Island. Here we are.
Could you imagine camping here overnight, waking up just in a bed of snakes?
We're just gonna stay here to see what happens.
John comes back running with snakes all over him.
It's actually the Mississauga rattlesnake.
Oh god.
Is extremely venomous,
Oh dear god.
and so that's why we're going to be quiet. We're going to be listening for rattles.
This is our new show, by the way, Snake Hunters.
Yes, we're taking a slight pivot from the music. Did you bring a net, or are you just going to catch them in your jacket? What's the plan?
Bare hands.
Man versus wild out here.
This show just got so much cooler.
Yeah.
John's going in.
All right, really?
Just kidding.
Oh.
Since basketball was such a success, we're going to up the ante. Another athletic sport, rock skipping. Sorry.
Oh, that wasn't a regulation size rock. Try another one. I don't know about the, the tide's coming this way. It's just, it's not,
Blaming the tide, for sure.
the circumstances are not ideal, but we're professionals, so here we go.
Oh, it flipped.
Oh, the all-time world record, 3 skips.
Here, yes, at least getting 3.
The sun came out, it's nice and warm, but there are no snakes here.
Yes, one comes out the chat.
Our first episode of Snake Hunters was a bit of a fail, but
It's like,
we'll try again. They promised us snakes. There were no snakes.
Not a single snake.
But we did find many cats, and Johnny, the cat whisperer, had cats all over the island. He kept coming up to you.
I feel like they migrate to one area, like different areas. They're not just relegated to one specific spot. They're just chilling and traveling on the island like we all are,
And then we came back here, and we finally had some time to watch Flip a Coin. You guys have been recommending that we watch One OK Rock's Flip a Coin on Netflix. We haven't got through the whole thing yet, about halfway through. Awesome. Seeing their personalities. I mean, we see what their stage presence is. We know what they're capable of.
Right.
And creatively and expressively. But to see them in their own environment being just real with each other, and, the scare that took place, obviously, with...
Oh, yeah, just taking us back to that time period, which is still surreal that actually happened.
Yeah, the pandemic, and then what to do, how to move forward, because they had, this is what they know, is to perform and create. And with the Australian tour, I think, they had to cancel and then kind of reinvent themselves in a market, a temporary market, but then to do that is just amazing. But we haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Yeah.
And
really good. And just seeing the rehearsal, too, them in rehearsal, and just really, truly how tight of a band they are. Where, when you strip away all the glitz and glamour of the huge crowds and all the stage production and everything, it's just like they, at their very heart, are just such a good... Just a good band.
Yeah. So we're excited to finish watching it, obviously, but we needed a quick power nap, knowing we're going to stay up past 7 o'clock.
For some people, that's tough. Yeah.
For me.
Oh God! Speaking of
And
not being
go.
able to stay up, yeah. As soon as we got back last night, it wasn't that late. I mean,
It's late.
10:30ish. Okay, we're like, oh, let's put on a movie. So we're watching Inception. He made it through 3 minutes of the movie until I look over and he's like this.
I tried to get him to watch Christmas Chronicles. It didn't work. So
It's just not Christmas yet. You agreed.
we're going to get there.
that we have to wait till the holiday season for that. That's just not going to feel right.
Finally, what are our thoughts on this ridiculously amazing concert?
Well, it started out in a very long line, a line as long as the eye could see.
This is true.
Yeah, we got there plenty early though, so we didn't have to wait too long. So we get into the venue. So I guess the first thing we could talk about was the amazing sound check.
Oh my God.
Which, we weren't sure if it was, their actual sort of line check, sound check. Usually bands do that either really early in the day or the day before.
Can you describe the difference between line check and sound check?
Okay, so a line check is a basic, everything's working. It's just real quick check of everything.
It's usually what the opening band gets. It's like, is the mic on? And like that's it.
Yes. This was a little more extensive. I mean, they were really, really being detailed with it. And there was a lovely man that was checking the microphone. It just on the surface, it looked like he was having a ball.
Yes,
no shame, just like trying to get a laugh out of the crowd. What I think he was doing was he was trying to kind of run through all the frequency spectrum.
Exactly.
Which, now that I'm seeing him doing that, it's actually kind of a good idea to just get the whole range of frequency.
Yes.
Not necessarily singing notes per se, but
he's like a tech that travels with the band, because John Reaves had mentioned that he did the same thing in London, or maybe it was Tokyo or something like that. So it's like that's their process for a sound check. I just thought it was fantastic. So then the show started with this great epic build up.
Tour 2024.
I was actually making a set list during the concert. Like, quick phone. Okay, delusional. Okay, deeper. Like, just kind of like trying to come up with. And I don't think I missed any. We had delusional, deeper, taking off. Then we went into Save Yourself, Vandalize, Make It Out Alive, and somewhere in there, in the first few songs, they
kind of took turns hyping up the audience. I think it was Toro was first, I believe. Either Toro or Ryota. I don't remember.
No, Ryota was first, and then Toro. I remember it's like, "Do you know One OK Rock? Yes. Do you like One OK Rock? Do you love One OK Rock?" It was great.
It's funny, yeah. Ryota and Tomo probably a little bit shyer. I would say those are the two shyer members. And then Tomo gets on the mic, and Tomo's just Tomo. He's just
his personality is so infectious.
What's up, Toronto?
Oh, so good. And then all the songs, none of it's phoned in. These guys have been around for almost 20 years. Was it 2000? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it 2005, 2006? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah,
when they formed, and the energy is like just youthful and all that. And that's why we thought they were kids when we
we originally thought they were 20-year-old kids because, I mean, they look youthful, which
they do.
Good for them. That's amazing. You know, what's your secret? But also their energy on stage is particularly toxic. I mean, they have the energy of 20-year-olds. It's incredible. Yeah.
And I also like every once in a while they have like these little syncopated dance moves. That's that they like, you know, like the three of them get in the front and they do like the foot to foot and then switch. One, da, 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 you know, that whole sequence. Yes. It's just these little points that's well rehearsed and you don't really see coming unless you've seen the show before, but it doesn't feel like over the top or cheesy. It was fun in those moments. I did record clips of the show, as you've already seen. I did not record any of Taka talking because they were, as Aurora would put it, naughty, naughty, naughty. But it was just rock and roll. Like, you know what I mean? There was nothing about it uncomfortable or excessive. It was just rock. And it was just it was just
and he's
fun.
so likable.
I know.
When he swears, there's just something different about
it. And that accent, with that little Japanese accent into it, it's just there's something
very endearing. And listen, we're not swearing prudes or anything.
No, not by means. Just for the show, we tone it down. Yeah. Let's see. And then we went on to Renegades. What a song that is live. I also wanted to say the evolution of Taka's voice in the show. When he came out, I mean, his pitches and everything were great. But I don't know what his warm-up routine is. I don't know if you guys have any information in the comments. God, John, did we never finish watching Flip a Coin?
No.
We don't know how it ends. We're only halfway through. Anyway, his evolution of his voice, meaning the first couple of songs I could hear he was still kind of in a warm-up phase. So I don't know if he stretched his voice beforehand or not. That's what I was going to ask if you guys knew. But he came out, timing, phrasing, pitches, everything's on.
I was actually surprised at the range of the first couple songs because
immediately,
I mean, for a singer, the first couple songs they like to,
sometimes they play it safe.
But still, they'll play it safe. They don't want to get too high too soon because they want to start to build up. Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the Luxury, Disease, and Ambitions record, which we listened to on the way out to the show. So I'm used to hearing like the polished, produced version of Taka, right? So I can hear when a singer is just still like kind of like getting his bearings a little bit, not taking anything away from it. It was awesome. But about 3 songs in, it was like kind of like, and there he is. It was like album ready. Just the tone, the responsiveness. But it didn't stop there. Song 4, 5, like it kept taking off, pun intended. It's just like it got better and better, literally to the end of the night.
Yeah.
And it sounded like he was only halfway through his set. He could have easily gone another 90 minutes or whatever
I
was.
Amazed. Yeah, he could have gone another 2-3 hours easy. These are not easy songs to sing either. I mean, everything is up there, and he's just. Man, yeah, that really stood out. His vocal prowess and stamina.
Yeah,
man.
Let's see. So Renegades, Wherever You Are, Take What You Want. That was the next song. That's the one that has like that silent part. I was really hoping to experience what we've seen on the videos that we've reacted to. We're not used to having a stadium. This is a Coliseum, thousands and thousands of people being completely silent.
Yeah.
what an experience that was. First there was a bit of a roar, you know what I mean? And then it went to like nothing. Like you couldn't hear the people next to you breathe.
Can you hear me? I'm trying to hear you. Silence strikes like a hurricane.
The physical presence and energy of thousands of people being still in anticipation. And then when Taka came in on that, it was pitch perfect with this just great attack, and just led into the rest of the song. And I was really satisfied at that point. It was like, okay, if everything goes horribly awry for the rest of the night, I'm happy. There's just an awesome respect, it seems.
Yeah.
That takes place with their audience and their band, and maybe some of it's the Japanese culture. We've talked about that a little bit.
There's definitely it's seemingly just a respect that's just infused in that culture, which is obviously awesome to see.
Yeah, even the girls right in front of us. Did you notice that every time they went to stand up, they'd like check behind, like, is it okay that I stand? We're just like, yeah, stand. We'll stand with you.
And by the way, I did not stand up fully because I would say probably. Which song was that ever? So everybody started seated. His first two songs at least. Maybe the third song?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, everybody get up, and everybody got up. And I started getting up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to block the people behind me completely. So I stood down. Yeah.
You kind of sat on the seat rim there a little bit, so you were able to see. But yes, that was very respectful of you.
I tried to be.
And in taking it a notch further, I got so many comments and private messages and DMs on different social media platforms saying that, oh, we saw you at the show, but we didn't want to interrupt, or it's just like kind of like this shy thing, and we're like, no, come see us, come talk to us.
Yeah.
But we were thrilled to meet the people that we did, and hung out with a bunch after the show as well, and everybody was just so cool and so nice. The social culture that One OK Rock invites and cultivates is just beautiful. Okay, so after that was Wonder, and then the instrumental. I did not record the instrumental. I wish I did. If anybody has that, please send me a link. It was amazing. It was probably the most progressive section of the evening, like more of like the Muse, like early Dream Theater, just like really clever, heavy riffs infused into it.
Yeah.
And
which again, that's to us, that's what makes them stand out. I mean, they are the masters of the 4-minute pop rock song. They unlocked the door, the secret to write just amazing song after song. And we talk about that, in all our shows leading up to the concert. But to hear it in concert, song after song after song after song, every single one is just so well crafted, and everything's just catchy. But going back to what I was saying, what just makes them a little bit different is those little progressive elements that they add that just those skillful moments that take it beyond just the pop format.
And
it's something a little bit more interesting.
Never ever feels like showing off. It's never I referenced Dream Theater. That's here's a 6-minute solo for guitar, here's a 4-minute solo for
self-indulgent.
It's self-indulgent, and I enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's fun too to celebrate, but they don't do that. It's like they flex very subtly and very strategically, and it makes the songs flow. So that instrumental was amazing. It was amazing. Do you know why I used the? Is because the next song was Prove. I was reading it as I spoke. That's why I can't speak and read. It doesn't go well. So Prove was next, and then Neon Lights. That was awesome. That has, again, more of like that Muse influence, flowed really well. The Beginning, Mighty Long Fall. standout fit in. Just song after song, hit after hit. And
yeah, as they say, all killer, no filler.
That's right. And then they went off stage, and of course there was an encore, and they came out with a new song. I don't know if any of you that were there or the previous concerts, did he reveal a title? If he did, I missed it. There were moments he was speaking in Japanese, so maybe he said it, and I'm not sure.
Possibly. Surprise. Shockingly, it was a great song. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where he revealed the next album that they're working on is going to be heavy as well, which is cool. And then they closed off with Wasted Nights. And what a cool song to end with. It's just, again, being there, everyone there together and with those lyrics and everything. It's like this collective celebration. And by the way, there's only 4 band members in this band. I don't know if you were aware of that, Johnny, and maybe some of our viewers were
Well,
unaware.
I just learned to count recently in the past few years.
That's your Sesame Street experience? 1 on microphone, 2 on drums, 3 on... Anyway, so my point of bringing that up is the 4 of them with just, they had a minimal background tracks. So I think they had piano, maybe some
pre-recorded
keyboard
tracks, which is super standard. It's pretty much every band does that these days. They play with a click track,
right?
And if there's anything missing, because when you record an album, it's like there's a lot more instruments usually that you add besides just your basic
the transition sounds and things like
couple
that.
Synths, maybe but it was really if they were used, it was so minimal, and they were definitely more in the background. And what what was being featured was the band members, and there's the way that Toro plays, he's so great at filling up space. It's just the one guitar, and you have to play it in a certain way, so it doesn't sound empty.
And his choice of delays and just his effects and everything just filled everything up beautifully. So with just the 4 of them, it just filled the Coliseum with just the perfect spectrum of sound. And if they didn't have those other layers, yes, a couple of the songs would have been affected, obviously, if there's a piano part or something, but they still would have executed. And that's what's beautiful about bands like this.
And just the overall sound, too. The sound was great. We were off to the side. Yeah. We were off to the left side of the stage. Very well mixed. And I can only attribute that to soundcheck. He did his job.
I was thinking, he's the man. And after the concert, we met up with John Reaves, who was at the barricade, by the way. He was like front row.
Right up front.
like 2 feet from Taka singing. And we're like way back in 101. So we were communicating back and forth, which was a lot of fun. But afterwards, we met up with him and we went out to Don Don's something or other. A friend of his recommended going there, which was a lot of fun. And then the next morning we got up and we had a little bit of a tizzy getting home because Johnny had to get back into Rochester for his engagement photos.
So getting up there took like 2 hours, 45 minutes. So we're thinking, the next day, we'll give ourselves three hours. That should be plenty. So we get in the car and it already added an extra 45 minutes.
Immediately.
I'm like, oh. And then as we're sitting in traffic, the estimated time of arrival would just add 5 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, and I told Richard it felt like that scene in Interstellar where they visited the planet where every hour that you're on the planet, 20 years goes by on Earth. That's what it felt like to me.
Yes, but it worked out.
It did work out, yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
And then later that night, I hung out with my dad again and one of my dear friends, Steve, and we watched My Fair Lady, which I actually have never seen. So
I would make fun of you, but I watched The Sound of Music last night. So
did you really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how we're raving about this like killer rock band. Hey, what'd you do last night? Sound of Music? Oh, My Fair Lady. And that's why this channel works.
It does. We cover the whole spectrum.
Oh my goodness. So that is it for today. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for all of the coffees, the likes, the subscribes, and the sharing of this podcast. Adventures like this and getting to meet some of you in person and just sharing the experience of music firsthand is just amazing. We hope to do many more. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
I can't fake the love you make with me. You are my missing pieces.
This is the song?
This is the song. And then it's like,
I need the phone book.
that's Lake Ontario, isn't it? Oh.
Yes. Let's start this again.
Okay.